What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Be Fck'n For Real. Okay, y'all. We about to get into some things, okay? I am Miss Megan Liana, and this is Be Fck'n For Real, your place of unfiltered takes and unapologetic truths. All right, now it is going to be a shorter show today, but there's a good reason why. And I'm going to tell you why at the end of the show. So that means you got to watch the whole thing. And I'm going to tell y'all why we shorter today. But usually, if I'm shortening something, it's because it's getting lengthened in another aspect, right? So just, make sure y'all stick to the end for a nice little announcement. But we gonna start the show a little different, right? Like I want to start with something positive, and it's just something about this kid right here. I can't. I'm at that age where I call like anybody younger than me in college like a kid, but it's like I know he's not like a kid, but compared to my age, he is. But Shedeur Sanders, oh my God. Okay, now I'm gonna be in men's business this episode. I feel like men be in women's business a lot, so I'm gonna just like dabble in a little bit. But okay, so Shedeur Sanders, he finally got the starting spot. Okay, the man has been grinding, okay? And I'm gonna be honest, I'm personally like I like football, but I'm not a fan like that, right? So I don't necessarily like I have no emotional ties to anything football related whatsoever. Like I love football. Like I'll watch a game and I will know what the fuck is going on, but deep down, like I'm not like a football fan, right? However, you can't, even if you aren't a football fan, like you cannot know who or what's been going on with Shedeur Sanders. Okay. So I've been watching his story and I genuinely have like a soft spot for this kid. So one thing I love about him is that no matter what has gotten thrown at him, you never hear him say anything negative. In every instance, he gives the glory to God. He gives the praise to God. Whether he triumphs, whether it's a triumph or a loss, like he will always attribute his faith. And part of it's like I first started hearing about him when he was like the fifth round draft pick, which some people were saying it was like an attempt to humble or humiliate him. If you don't know by the last name Sanders, this is Deion Sanders' son. And Deion Sanders has a history of being a rebel, but he was too good at football for them to control him or put him down. Like I remember my brother used to talk about Deion Sanders, and that was my brother. My brother was a football fan. And so again, as a kid, I just knew like Deion Sanders was that guy in football. And what really has stuck out with Shedeur Sanders is that it's an example of like unsupported nepotism. Like for some reason, when you look at like the Mannings, the son, and I don't, like I said, I don't pay attention to football like that. So I know it was the daddy and the son. And when it comes to the son, like the son was welcomed, the Manning son was welcomed into football with open arms and to set his record. Shedeur, not so much. So he was, a fifth round draft pick, and a lot of the commentary from his head coach, Jason, what's his name? Jason Scafancy. I had it written down. I lost it. It's okay though. I did write it down though, but it's Jason. No, Kevin. Look, let me see. Where are my notes at? I'm gonna get his name right because I gotta at least have their names right, right? But basically, what they were saying is that his head coach genuinely has like his own personal vendetta against him. Where Kevin Stefanski, I was on the right track. I wasn't that far off. Kevin Stefanski, right? So what's been happening is all the commentary I've seen is that Stefanski, as his coach, has like this personal vendetta against Shedeur, and it shows in how he talks about him. It shows with him not letting him start. Even, with him, he didn't get his first career start until like week 12. And he led the team to a victory, and he still didn't get the starting position after that. And last night, he threw 364 yards, got 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and basically the controversy is that when it was the last couple minutes of the game and it was a 2-point conversion, he pulled Shedeur Sanders out. And all morning, all I saw was commentary from like Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, other, sports commentators. I told y'all I don't keep up with sports like that, so I don't know their names. But a lot of them were calling for Kevin Stefanski to either be fired or investigated for throwing that game because he made a losing call. And that's the beauty of all this shit, right? Because I think that what if anybody could gain from watching Shedeur Sanders is that you could be cocky, you can know you can be cocky and you can know you're good and you can still maintain humility because again, he's very media trained, but he has never not once said anything bad when he was the 5th round draft pick, when he was like waiting days for the draft to get drafted, when it came to comments that were made about him and people, reporters and stuff would try to like get him like, jam him up in some comments and stuff. And he never took the bait. And he always remained positive and always had a positive outlook. And I just want to shine a light on this young brother because I love to see it. And what I love to see it most is that what I love to see most about it is that there were roadblocks put in his development as a player on this team. Like he wasn't able to run drills with his team at first. Um there were other things that happened where it seemed like there was intended hindrance to his performance. So that way when he did, finally make his debut, he would fail. And it would be like, I told you so. He was whack and baby, he showed out. And so I just wanted to start with something positive because, for one, I love his smile. He's always smiling. And it just goes to show that it's like, because people, I remember they were saying, oh, he's cocky, he's this, he's that. He felt he was too good for the team. Like there was just so much. From the draft to now, there was so much negativity that was talked about him. And when you know kind of how like media ends up working and how it's easy for a narrative to just get spun and to just spread. And no matter what, he kept his temperament and his attitude so positive that alone turned the narrative. But the way he plays, oh my God, you can't go against talent. Like you can't go against talent, and it takes a lot of patience and centering to have that level of composure. And like we don't know him. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But I will say that with all the prayers that, he is making, I hope they continue to block every weapon and every evil eye formed against him because baby grace is prospering with that young man. So I just wanted to start with something positive. On to the next. Okay, I told y'all I'm in men's business, right? And I saw Jason Derulo recently did an interview, And it's crazy because I was wondering, like, where is Jason Derulo? Because he had a run. And, sometimes when artists, they have like a long run of like albums and tours, they take a break. So I was like, well, dang, maybe he's on a break. But then I saw this video and I realized what had happened. So
There's a lawsuit not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like, I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with. Like, ever again.
Why?
It's too risky.
oh, what happened? Wait, hold on.
There's a lawsuit not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like, I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with. Like, ever again.
Why?
It's too risky. That case was dismissed twice in two different states. And there's hardly no mention of it online. When that case was brought up, it was on every single blog, every single front page. And I lost so many brand deals, relationships off of a story that was not even slightly believable. She said I sacrificed a goat in a sexual ritual. All people read was the headline, right? And that's all it takes to lose everything. That's a crazy concept. I lost millions of dollars off of an arbitrary story that some woman told.
Okay, so the man is traumatized, one, right? And I feel like there are two sides to this coin. Now, one, it's completely understandable that he wants to set this boundary now. I would too. And if he's innocent and he's lost his career, the money, the relationships, the endorsements over this, then his boundary is completely understandable. I do feel that men who are wrongfully sued, they don't necessarily get the public justice and vindication that they deserve. And the media does need to do a better job of that. However, okay, I was doing some research, right? And the case was dismissed based off of a technicality. Like, it wasn't dismissed because um it was proven that she was lying. Um it was it wasn't dismissed because he was found completely innocent. Basically, the contract was signed in New York, and that's why she needed to refile the case in New York. So it was dismissed in California, and then according to Jason, that second dismissal was, I think, in Nevada from what I researched. But excuse me, if it's dismissed off a technicality, that's probably why it's not front page news. Like, there's been no resolution to it. So it's like, that's why people probably still are apprehensive about working with him. Now, again, I understand his trauma and this boundary that he has set, because it's easy for, if it's you and another person, it's your word against theirs. And we know with everything that goes on in the entertainment industry, it's easy for people to believe the woman. Does that make it okay if he's innocent? No. However, is there a possibility that there was some sexual harassment? I think that one thing that has kind of transpired a little more since the Me Too movement, I would say, is understanding the blurred lines of consent and harassment, right? Because I think that a lot of men and women don't necessarily take into account the different forms of sexual harassment and the different types of what a power dynamic looks like when you can say certain things or put people in certain situations and they interpret it as a form of sexual harassment. Now, again, I'm not saying that the girl did not lie. I'm not saying that he has no right to feel how he feels, but especially, with what we've learned that goes on in the entertainment industry, you're either, you're the predator or you're the victim. And sometimes the person playing the victim can be lying about their victimhood. Like, we have seen cases where women make up things for a check. However, until he's actually like proven innocent and the case is dismissed from his innocence, I don't think it's fair for him to say, oh, well, the media hasn't reported that it was dismissed. It was dismissed off of technicality. And she actually just refiled the case. She refiled the case, I think, in September in New York. So when he says she's refound, like, it wasn't dismissed because he was found to be innocent. So the boundary does make sense. Honestly, think of it like this: like when a woman has like, when we got to get our private areas checked and we have to get like a pap smear or something, where anything where a doctor is touching your private area and it's a male doctor, there's going to be a female doctor has to be in the room when he's examining you. Why? Because there's the risk of being taken advantage of because of the area and of the opposite sex that I'm going to tongue tie. There has to be a witness because somebody of the opposite sex that could be in power is inspecting your private areas. Now, is it wrong for me or is it far-fetched for me to compare the music industry with the medical industry and how they have like a mandatory female or a mandatory chaperone? I don't think it's far-fetched. I think the problem within the music industry is that when they've had these chaperones and when they've had these people that were supposed to be looking out for the artist or the signed person, they allowed the bullshit to happen. So I think Jason Derulo was kind of onto something. Yeah, you shouldn't be alone with women just to protect yourselves, for women to feel protected. But also, I think it's about protecting the brand, protecting the assets. I think that there should be um more boundaries like this set in place. I think he's onto something. I think more men should do it. However, the problem is when a lot of men do get off, they kind of still, it's like once a predator, always a predator. And again, I'm not calling him a predator. I'm just saying usually when men are able to get off in these kind of situations, they do end up being repeat offenders. I'm not saying he's that. I'm just saying the case has not been dismissed due to his innocence. So, with that being said, if he's proven innocent and the case is dismissed, I hope he gets the public vindication that he deserves. And I hope his career gets restored because I love me some Jason Derulo, like I said. However, if that man is guilty, then again, I hope he gets what he deserves because it is what it is. You people need to be held accountable for their shit. So whichever way it goes, if the media ain't reporting the outcome, just know your favorite cousin Megs and Be Fck'n For Real gonna be talking about what happened, okay? In other news, okay, I don't know if you guys saw this video. I'm not going to actually play the video because I think that that's the problem. When a racist does something and it goes viral, I think the more you replay the video, it's giving them the notoriety that they're looking for. So I'm not going to play the video. I'm going to just say what happened. So basically, this is a lady and she works at Cinnabon, okay? Oh, it's this end. She works at Cinnabon, right? This way, yeah. Boom. This lady works at Cinnabon, and there were some customers. They were Somalian immigrants or Somalian residents, and she called them the N-word. And then when they put the camera in her face, she doubled down and called them the N-word. And the video goes viral, of course. And what happens next? Of course, she gets fired. And then what does she do? Then she's going to create an account on Give, Send, Go. And as of this afternoon, she raised almost $100,000. And that's just off of, I want to say that was at like maybe midday, 12, 1 o'clock. There's no telling how much money she's raised by now. And the last white woman that went viral for calling a special needs Black child the N-word and lost her job, she raised almost $1 million. So I think it's time that collectively we gotta stop like posting these videos and their racist shit. Like, I know that sometimes it's like we think like, oh, I'm gonna record these people and I'm gonna shame them for using the N-word. But I think that collectively we have to accept the fact that we live in a time where there is no shame in racism. Okay? The only people that care to hide their racism are the online donors who choose to remain anonymous. Like, that's it. And people are happy to help racists these days. So when you see someone like this who can raise $100,000 for losing her job for saying the N-word, then you have the other white racist woman who raised almost $1 million for calling a child the N-word. Why are we still putting money in these people's pockets recording them? And it's like, I think that people think we're still in a time where people used to have to like watch their mouths or be ashamed to display their racism. However, look who we have in charge. The current regime that we have, the things that they say, they create a safe space for this type of racism. And this lady, the people that she called the N-word, they were Somalian immigrants, right? And this is the tirade just last week that the orange man in charge went on about Somalian immigrants.
They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. And we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. But when they come from hell and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much.
Round of applause. That's what got me about that goddamn round of applause. But that's what like that's the guy that is literally like the representation of our country. And when you look at what he can say out loud and get a round of applause for in his cabinet meeting, of course, somebody who voted for him is going to call Somali immigrants the N-word when they're at their job getting a goddamn Cinnabon. And she worked at Cinnabon. She probably has already made like 3 times her salary for working at Cinnabon. All from calling some people the N-word. And that is why we need to not record these people anymore. Just slap them. I mean, I don't want to, like, I ain't trying to incite violence, but I think the problem is people are pulling out their phones to record them saying the N-word and they're not slapping them no more. I don't know. I just think that something has to give instead of just recording these people because they like it. They want to imagine being racist and somebody gives you the opportunity for millions and millions of people to see you display your racism. Stop recording them. Leave them be. Like it doesn't bring shame. And I feel like the only people that are getting shamed are the people that are like receiving it. And fuck a victimhood, fuck a social justice. Like there's no justice type thing here. Like stop recording them at least. Stop recording them, stop giving them the platform to go viral because when they lose their job, they are gaining a huge payday. There is no shame in racism anymore. There is big money and big donors, individual donors who are happy to give somebody thousands of dollars that just lost their job for being a racist. And on to somebody else who is quitting their job. Now, here's the thing, right? Women like Marjorie Taylor Greene Karens like Marjorie Taylor Greene are very, very dangerous, right? And I'll take an outspoken racist Karen versus a passive aggressive wannabe victim when it's turned on them kind of racist, right? I'll respect somebody that's open with it than the victim thing. And here's the thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene that gets on my fucking nerves. It's the fact that all of the political chaos her entire career was fine. It was fine. Everything was okay when it was her. When she was a part of the bully machine, right? Then it was cool. Now that she's on the outside of it and she has to receive when she's on the other side of the bullies that she has continued to be a part of for her whole career, now she doesn't like it. And so she was on 60 Minutes yesterday and she finally she's been getting called out on it, but here's how that interaction went when she got called out on 60 Minutes.
The most toxic political culture, and it's not helping the American people.
But you contributed to that. You were out there pounding, insulting people.
Leslie, you've contributed to it as well with your own program. Yes, you're accusatory, just like you did just then.
I know you're accusing me, but I'm smiling.
You're accusing me.
I am accusing you.
But we don't have to accuse one another.
I want you to respond to what you have done in terms of insulting people, yelling at people, and then saying...
I'd like for you to respond for that.
I don't...
No, you can respond to that.
I don't insult people.
You do, in the way you question, and you're accusing me right now. It's the most toxic...
See, and that's why you can't trust Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because even when she's called out on it, there's no remorse. She only cares because she's receiving it and it's too much for her. But for a long time, she made it seem like, I feel like she's been making it seem like she's had somewhat of a change of heart, because she is big on, oh, well, it's toxic, it's this, it's that. But her response to being called out on the toxicity that she contributed to, that shows that this has nothing to do with remorse. It has nothing to do with a reckoning of her actions. It's just another grift. And I think that people have to remember, like, everybody in MAGA has some sort of grift. And when they leave MAGA, the grift continues. Her grift has been in politics. So it's like, when you're in politics and you're able to raise money, you get the donors. And she was so in heavy with, the Republican Party, the MAGA donors, and Donald Trump. She was able to completely benefit off of that. She has been able to completely benefit off of insider training. And that's a whole nother discussion when you look at the way she's been able to profit off of stocks while she's been in office. She did not put in her resignation until her pension hit. But on top of that, the only reason why she is quitting her position is because now she has enemies in MAGA. And one thing she said was that her son received death threats. So because her son received death threats, and the subject line was what Donald Trump called her, that's why it's so toxic. But how many how many Black and minority and Muslim congressional officials have been on the tail end of receiving death threats, political threats, based off of her own verbiage? And the fact that she could sit there in that interview and just say, well, you're asking me questions, so that's accusatory, or that's contributing to it, there's no accountability. So it's like, you can't trust a Karen, and you damn sure can't trust the motives of a reformed Karen. Because usually if they're a reformed Karen, it's only because something caught their Karenism caught up to them, and they have to try to get new money because they have the reputation of being a Karen, and it's not profitable anymore. Right now, with the political climate, Marjorie Taylor Greene being who she is and the way she handled things, it's not profitable. And I'll give it to her. If the hill that she wants to die on is the Jeffrey Epstein files and standing up for the Jeffrey Epstein victims, I'll give her that. When she says that her goal, with going against the Republican Party was to stand up for her constituents because of the because of the healthcare ACA credits that were going to expire at the end of the year, that were going to raise the premiums of her constituents. Okay, I'll give her that. However, the victimhood, it means nothing. What she stands for means nothing. And I guarantee that all of this, even her leaving politics, it's just on to another grift. She's either going to start a podcast, or she's going to start a nonprofit, something like a media nonprofit, kind of like how Turning Point is, or she's going to start a new PAC, a political action committee. But whatever she has in store, she's not done. And everything she does is pretty fucking calculated. So I just want to take the time to look back at some of the awful things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said in her career. I think it's important. Just this year, when the Pope died, She tweeted, "Today there were major shifts in global leaderships. Evil is being defeated by the hand of God." And that was right when the Pope died. In 2020, she was willing, she's an election denier, but she was also willing to not certify the 2020 election. She also called the January insurrectionists political prisoners. She has called Muslim American members of Congress, the people she serves with, the Jihad Squad. She said mask mandates and vaccine related logos were similar to Jews being put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany, or forced to wear a gold star. Like the things that, and let's also not get into, the back and forth spats with Jasmine Crockett, who has taken everything that her and MAGA has thrown at her like a motherfucking champ. And she announced her run for Senate today, for Texas Senate. But my issue with Marjorie Taylor Greene is that all the hatred and mean things and political divisiveness that she was, and the toxicity that she was okay to play a part in, and that she was okay to put out there, now is bad because she's on the receiving end. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can't trust white women like her, who were able to use racism and misogyny to get them ahead in their career, but then cry victim when they become the receiving end of that same racist and misogynistic rhetoric. So I have no remorse for her. I hope that, no, I'm not even gonna hope that, because I don't want to hope nobody gets bullied. But for all the negativity she put out there, I do hope that she continues to feel the damage. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Special announcement. So I will, and this is why we have a shorter show today, because I am going live on TikTok on Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, we are going to do a special Talk Back Tuesday live on TikTok, where you can actually join me in the live, because I just watched this Diddy documentary, right? And normally I would have had a segment on that shit, but there's so much I want to talk about this new Sean Combs The Reckoning documentary, that I gotta dedicate a whole show to it. So because I'm gonna dedicate a whole show to it, we're gonna go live on TikTok. And it's gonna be a Talk Back Tuesday where you can join the conversation. Now, the only rules for Talk Back Tuesday in order to join the conversation is, one, you have to be respectful, you have to listen, and you gotta just come with a little bit of facts, not feelings. You gotta come with facts, and you gotta, have something to back up what you are saying. This is not a debate. It's a place where I share my opinion. You tell me what you think of that. And, we just join in the discussion. So that is why this is a shorter show today, because tomorrow we are going to be on TikTok live, Talk Back Tuesday. And the TikTok is at Miss Megan Liana, the same as my YouTube. And yeah, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. So I'm going to see y'all tomorrow for Be Fck'n For Real, Talk Back Tuesday on TikTok Live. All right. And remember, Be Fck'n For Real is a place of unfiltered takes and unapologetic truths. So make sure when y'all join me tomorrow for that Talk Back Tuesday, y'all come with your unfiltered takes and unapologetic truths. And out. See y'all tomorrow night at